Hello everyone, welcome to EditUp. So in today's success story session, we have with us Mr. Arun, who has cleared RBI Grade B in 2020-21. So hello, Mr. Arun.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you for inviting me for this session.
Thank you, sir. And heartiest congratulations to you for clearing RBI Grade B.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So he has done his graduation from mathematics from Delhi University in 2015. After that, he did his MBA from IIM Udaipur, and then he started working in the Wipro company. So he will tell about himself, that how he came in the RBI and how he started preparing for the RBI, leaving his well-paying job in Wipro. So sir, some words like how you started for the preparation of RBI, and from leaving Wipro was also a big decision. So how you took that decision?
So, I wasn't aware of this RBI exam till my graduation. So I remember when I was doing my MBA, I came to know about this exam from one of my colleagues. Even then, during my MBA, I didn't decided to opt for this exam. I got a job from the campus placement, and then I was working in Wipro for 2.5 years. I worked from there. So, but when I was working, I found out that this is not my cup of tea, and IT is not something that I want to make a career into. But while working in Wipro, all of my clients were from the financial sector, and I had also a bit of interest in finance from my MBA days also. So I decided that I want to make my career in this field. Then I thought of this exam, and I came to know of this exam, as I told earlier also. And also my brother told me that this is a very good exam. RBI gives you opportunity to shift from different departments. So if you are not comfortable with one of the department, you can move to the other one. Also, it is a learning organization which focuses on your overall development. You can go for further studies as well. So I did my own research about this examination, and then I was sort of convinced that yes, this is what I want to do, because RBI also is also at the epitome of the Indian financial sector. So if I want to make a career in financial sector, then I think RBI is the best organization to work with. So from there, first of all, I thought that I should continue my preparation with my job only, but it was getting very difficult, and I was not getting much time to prepare for. So around December 2020, thinking that the notification will come around March and April in next year, I decided to quit. I remember 24th December was my last day. I took a short trip to Dalhousie before starting my preparation, and I thought that I will start from the 1st of January. Yes, the preparation was going fine, but the notification came a little earlier than I expected, and I have around couple of months from prelims and 1 more month for mains examination. But I also knew that the FM part of the mains examination, I'm a little bit comfortable, having gone through the management during my MBA days, as well as while writing FRM exam, I was aware of the stock market and bond market and the derivative section as well. So yes, this is my story.
Okay, sir. So it was very short span of time. In a very short span of time, you gave the RBI paper and you cleared it, because notification came out on 30th January only, and you started preparing from 1st January. So it was only in 2 or 3 months you were able to clear RBI.
So before the notification, I was only focusing on the mains preparation. From the notification, I started working on my prelims as well. I was a little comfortable attempting CAT in 2015 from the QRE part. But when I started attempting and giving mocks, I saw that my marks were not as good in the QR also section. English was my strong suit, so I didn't focus much on that. But the chapters in which I was failing in quants and reasoning, I took YouTube videos or certain channels of other sources, and then that's how I improved my score through.
Okay, so it was in that from January 1st, you were only focusing on the phase 2 part, but after the notification, you started preparing for the phase 1. That's how you were able to clear it in such a brief span of time.
After the notification, I divided my preparation into both phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, sir. So now we can talk about the strategy and that how you did your preparation in because many of the students are freshers and they are waiting for the notification, and they don't know when the next notification will come. And so they should not be waiting for the notification. They should start preparing, because RBI can give the notification anytime. So it's now we can move to the strategy part. So in phase 1, there are QRE. You said that it was fine, but you were not getting as much marks. So what was your strategy, that how you will cover it up?
Yes, so both my I was failing in attempting question as well as my speed was very slow because I haven't touched the quant and the reasoning section from last 5 years. I gave CAT in 2015. So I took a simple job. I just started analyzing my mocks. I saw in which chapters I was failing, and then I go back to the simple conceptual videos available on the YouTube. Then I started solving some questions from the mock itself as well as from those YouTube videos, and then slowly and gradually I started improving my score.
Yes, sir. So you were improving, you can see the improvement, and then you were like, did you focus more on the mocks, or you were focusing more on the like basic parts?
I was focusing more on the mocks because from the mocks only I was getting to know where for which videos I need to watch on the YouTube.
Okay, so you were seeing that where your weaknesses lie, and then only you were moving towards the video parts, like seeing the YouTube videos and covering up the weaknesses.
Correct. Yeah. So for 2 months, in the 2 months before the prelims, I attempted around 20 and 25 mocks, giving mocks every 2 or 3 days. That's where I was able to analyze those also and able to work on my weakness.
Okay. So now moving to the GA part, like how was your preparation for GA? Because it's such a vast subject, I can say, topic, I can say, that so many names, so many facts that you have to remember. So what was your sources and what was your strategy for GA?
Yes, so GA was a tricky part because it has around 80 questions which needs to be attempted in 25 minutes. And from the previous years, we were saying that if you are not able to score high in the GA part, you will find tough to clear the section, clear the cutoffs. So I focused on two sources. One was many coaching institute publish their monthly PDFs of the general affairs, current affairs section. So I took one source from there and I started reading thoroughly that particular PDFs. I was focusing more on the revising the content because as you mentioned also, there are so many facts and figures that we tend to forget those. So first I read them, then I revised them, and then also attempted quizzes, which like IDTAPS also provide those quizzes, so that to make sure that I am able to remember those facts and figures.
Okay, so the reading part is important as well as the mocks or the practice part is also important in GA section.
I think the revision is most important in the GA section.
Okay, so your strategy for revision was giving mocks and giving like practicing.
Okay. And in the last week before the prelims, of those figures which I was forgetting time and again, I wrote down in a simple like 3 to 4 pages, and then I revised only those 3 to 4 pages before one day before the exam.
Okay, and according to you, how many months of the GA is important for the aspirants? Like how many months?
I think 5 to 6 months suffices the preparation, and we should focus more on the recent months. Like 3 to 4 months, you should able to remember thoroughly whatever is there. You should revise and read those thoroughly. But if you have time, you should also go back a couple of months back. So 5 to 6 months is I think a good time frame to stick to.
Okay, so the learnings that we got from you was like that like 6 months is important, but 3 to 4 months you have to remember everything that is there. And for revision, you can go for mock test and you can make your own notes so that you remember everything very nicely. And giving mocks is like very good for GA as well as for the quantum reasoning, because there you can know about your weaknesses, about your strengths also. So according to the weaknesses, you can prepare more on that basis. So is there any other message that you want to give the aspirants, that how can they start their preparation in all of this phase one?
I think for phase one, the best way I found is to first, as mentioned also, give a mock. Even if you haven't prepared for anything, just give a mock. You will know from where to pick up your preparation, from which section to pick up from your preparation. If you are failing very miserably in one of the sections, then first you should focus on that section. So that's how you should attempt your preparation.
Okay, that's nice. So you can start with the previous year papers or the mock test, and from there you can like know that how many topics you are good at and how many topics you are like not very good at.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we can move to the phase two part. Like in phase two also there are 3 sections: the English, ESI, and finance and management. So starting with English, like from where did you start the preparation? What were your sources?
For English, actually, I didn't start or didn't stick to any sources. I thought that because in the English section, the essay part was majorly from the financial sector. So I was thinking if I'm sticking to my preparation of finance field as well as from the economic and social issues field for the third paper, I think I would be able to write down on any one of the topic provided in the essay section. So I didn't focus much on English part, and this is also because English has been my strong suit. Even in the query section, I didn't prepare for English, and I knew that if given a topic I have knowledge, I will be able to write an essay on it. So I didn't give much time because I also mentioned I have very limited time. So for English, I took this leap of faith and I didn't prepare for it.
Okay. And that leap of faith was like enough for you to pass, because sometimes the students do not prepare, that they think that they are very good in English and they do not prepare. And then when they go to type and all, so there they do mistake, like little mistakes. So they should practice also.
Correct. And this time, because our pattern has also changed to descriptive part. So if you are not preparing for English as such, you must be preparing for the descriptive part of the ESI and the FM section. So you should know how to structure your answer, and that will also help in your essay part in the English section.
Yes, that's a good learning and a message that if even if you are not preparing for like essay in the English, you can just write good answers for the other like FM and the ESI. In this way, it is a practice for the essay. Okay, so did you start from the reading comprehension, Pressy, or the essay only in the examination?
Yes. I attempted the paper in this order only. I go for the RC part. RC, the topic was, I think, the counter economics or something like that. It was a little tricky. Then I attempting that to give me a little bit of confidence. Then I moved to Pressy, which was a little bit comfortable. And then I moved to essay. And I chose the topic, I think, the creative thinking in business. Because coming from the management field, I have much of material about that particular essay topic. And even going for the preparation of the management, few of the chapters in the management, I was comfortable with that topic, and I wrote, I think, a good amount of recent examples as well as from the business field on that topic.
Okay, can you tell the marks that you got in the phase 2?
I got ESI very was 56.25. English I got 68, and in FM I got 74.
Okay, that's nice. So now we can move to the FM part. Like your sources, what were your sources for the FM, finance and management?
Finance and management, I relied on the EduTap videos as well as PDFs. So I think management and finance, I watched videos of all of the important chapters, which I came to know by analyzing the previous year question paper. I got a faint idea that from which of the chapters we are getting most of the questions. I revised those topics thoroughly, and also and at the end of each chapter there are quizzes. I attempted those quizzes and I saw how I'm faring on those quizzes. So on the chapters which I was getting good marks, I focused less, and on the chapter side I was getting less marks, I revised those PDFs and the summary sheets again.
Okay, so for FM, like you were only focusing on the PDFs that is provided by EduTap, so that, and as well as you were giving the mock like practice questions, so that you can analyze that how much you have learned and how much is left, as well as you focused on the main topics of the syllabus, that these topics come regularly in the exam, or that you saw from the previous year papers, like by analyzing the previous year papers. Okay, that was a good thing. Now I think in FM, like it did your like base help you, or like in management, because you are from the management, like you have done MBA?
Yes. So yes, I think most of the topics I have read in the HRM part of my management syllabus, but again I was not able to remember all of those topics because it has been a time like 3 to 4 years. So here I need to study them again so that I can remember this time. But yeah, I was comfortable with all the topics. My concepts were a little bit clear. Even in the finance section, I was comfortable with primary and secondary market, debt market, and capital market. And this is due to because I have also cleared this FRM exam last year in 2019. So for finance and management, I'm a little bit comfortable with the syllabus as such.
Okay. So now I think we can move to the ESI. So like, were you preparing integrated, you were doing integrated preparation for the GA of phase 1 and the ESI of phase 2, or separate?
I took it separately only for phase 1 because the questions are mostly not in that deep. In phase 2, the questions are asked from the deep, and in the phase 2, the questions are majorly from the schemes as well as the report section. So I took it differently. I stick to the monthly PDF of the current affairs section for phase one, as well as in phase two, I stick to the monthly reports which are published by EduTap as well and other coaching institutes, and also the monthly schemes PDFs which are provided by you guys. So I stick to these two. I was attempting again quizzes for these two because I need to know how I'm faring in these examinations. And for ESI static videos, I stick to main chapters from which there's a probability of question being asked. I didn't complete the videos of all chapters, so but I took that risk because I have a little time on my hand, but that worked fair.
Okay, so like there was a conception before that like static part you can leave because very less questions come from the static area. But now the paper is in descriptive, like you have to write also. So what do you think that now do we have to like the aspirants have to study the ESI static or they can do without it also?
I don't think that now we can leave this static part videos because of the change in the pattern, because until and unless you are not thorough with that concept, you are not thorough with the topic, you won't be able to write much in the examination. And if you are only writing related to current affairs, it won't matter because you need to convey your understanding of that particular topic before attempting any question.
Yes, yes. So before maybe you were leaving the static part, but now it becomes important because you have to write long answers. So, and now like coming to the point that by writing like long answers, did you stick with the word limit or you were like, no, quality matters more. So you were like, you wrote less than the word limit?
It depends on the question I was comfortable with. For the question like the budget and the finance commission report, I was very much comfortable with that, and I think I stick to the limit on those particular questions. I have no problem with typing. I have a good typing speed by purview of writing mails in my previous organization. So I think I managed to stick to the word limit on certain questions, but in certain questions where I lagged in knowledge, I found it difficult to complete the word limit. So there I only focused on that. I will mention the important topics which I know. I'll not just drag the answer for the sake of completion of the word limit. I divided my timelines, like we have 90 minutes to attempt a descriptive part of the section. So I decided that I'll commit 25 minutes for each 15 marks question and then 20 minutes for each 10 marks question. So I stick to this timeline, and I think that I was able to write at around 70 to 80% of the word limit in each of the questions.
Okay. And according to you, what is a good structure of an answer, like in any descriptive exam?
It depends. Like if we are asked to analyze the pros and cons in particular topic, then definitely we should start with our understanding of that particular concept and goes as asked by pros and cons. And suppose like if we are asked, like we were asked like the 5 important features of the budget, then I think we can directly start mentioning 5 headers and then explaining those headers and then concluding on how you think is the importance of this budget and how do you think that the government has done so far. So I think a concluding remark is very much necessary in each of the question. And it shouldn't be factual. It should be opinionated in my thoughts.
Okay, okay, that's a nice thing. So now I think we can move to the interview part. So how was the panel? It was cordial or was it grilling?
I found it a little bit grilling because I was thinking that maybe some of the question would be asked from my profile, but I found no question from there, having prepared so much the DAF form and the other thing. So I think it was a bit grilling for me.
Okay, so, like, can you tell some of the questions that were asked, because it was not from profile and mostly people like the candidates have the questions from the profile and the biodata and all. So how was the questions for you? Technical?
Yeah, they started with some economic terms. They asked me what is the difference between monopoly and monospony. Then they asked me about different factors of production, uh, different kind of question on those, not direct questions. And then they also asked that how should India tackle the growing influence of these big techs like Google, Amazon, Facebook, and all. So it was more on the like taking my opinion on current issues as well as issues which relates to trade policies of India. Then it started with the chairman asking these kind of questions. Then it moved to panel, the other panelist, and she asked me the importance of LIBOR. What is the issue with the LIBOR? How is it going to fare? Because it was in the news that LIBOR will cease to exist by December 31st. So Then they asked me what are the different kind of risk, credit risk versus liquidity risk. So my point being that mostly it was on the technical side, less, very less on the profile and the HR related questions.
Okay, and how much marks did you get in the interview, if you are comfortable in telling?
Yeah, I'm definitely comfortable now having seen those marks. So I got 72 marks in the interview.
Oh,
Out
that's
of,
a really good marks, I can say. Yeah, that's a really good marks. So like even with the technical questions, you did very well.
yes, I think apart from one or two questions from the chairman, sir, I was able to answer other questions comfortably. So I think, yeah, there I did well and I got such good marks.
So yeah, like the monopoly and the monopsony topic is from the static part of the ESI, from the economics. So if you study the static part in the ESI or FM, like for FM you have to do it. So in that also helps in the interview, because
Correct,
if you
correct.
had done the ESI static, then it is very easy for you to answer the questions.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So the students have to keep the mindset also that the technical questions can also come, and you have to be very good in that also. So there were questions from the RBI website also, because most of the questions are usually asked from there.
I don't think in my interview there was any question from the RBI website. There was one question that the last panelist asked, that what more should be done to increase financial inclusion in India, because I think there was a recent speech by the governor sir in the topic of the financial inclusion. So I found only that question related to RBI, it's directly related to RBI. Yeah, only that was the only question.
Okay, after hearing the interview marks, I'm like, yeah, you must have done very well in the interview. So if like, did you say no for any question, or that you don't know?
Yes, I said for the definition of monospony, I wasn't aware of. I know what is monopoly. For monospony, I wasn't aware of. So I conveyed that I do not know about monospony, which I got a remark also that you should know about it in the interview itself.
So, and you were like, you just told them that you don't know. So you didn't like revolve around some other definition, and you just
No,
directly told.
no, nothing. I don't think that matters, because the panelists are such an esteemed panel. They have knowledge, so you can't bluff them on certain technical knowledge. I don't think that that's a good idea in an interview.
Yeah, if you don't know something, just tell them. That would be more respectful for the
Yeah,
panelist
yeah,
also.
yeah. Because I, before going for the interview, I also watched some of the interview of the UPSC candidates which have cracked it last year. So in those mock interviews, I saw very easily telling that I do not have opinion on this topic, or I do not know about this topic, which I found very useful in my interview to convey also, because you are not, first of all, interview is not a test of your knowledge, most of a test of your behavior and how you answer those questions. So I think that it works well in your favor if you are able to say no to one or two questions.
Okay. Uh, did you practice before giving the interview, or like any mock interview and anything like that?
Yes, I took couple of mock interviews, one from EduTap and one from another source. So those two couple of mock interviews, the EduTap one helped me a really lot, because they said that you are good in your communication skill, but they highlighted where I need to focus. They also told me to took a break before answering, because that will help me to structure my answer in a well manner. So I took those advice, and they also highlighted certain topics from RBI website where I need to, then told me to read the annual report in detail, which I think helped to give me a confidence at least before going to the interview that I'm well prepared.
Okay, that was really nice. And most of the people have the misconception that only the UPSC candidates are good at, like in RBI, they can clear RBI easily. But you were not from the UPSC background, and still you did, like you cracked the RBI grade B in such a small span of the time. In only like in 2 months, I can say you cleared the phase one, and then you kept on clearing phase two, and then you cleared the interview also. That also with such good marks. So even if the aspirants do not have the UPSC background, you can clear it, as Arun has cleared it. So they shouldn't have this misconception in your mind. Like asking you a question from this also, like you were also like afraid or scared that you are not from the UPSC background. So did you also have this misconception?
I have this apprehension in my mind before attempting the exam, because first of all, I wasn't, I haven't read economics etc., and I was not very much read on social issues part also. So I was wary of that particular exam, and I was aware that the UPSC aspirants have an edge over other aspirants in that particular exam. And also after the notification came, the pattern changed to descriptive. So now 100 marks additional were descriptive. So I was also aware that UPSC aspirants, because of writing the mains examination, have a little bit edge over other candidates in that particular matter. But I tend to focus on what I had in my hand. I cannot do anything about what kind of aspirants are attempting this exam. And I know that because of my background, because of attempting CAT and doing MBA from IIM, I know that sooner or later I will crack this exam. So that gave me this confidence to even practice more in this particular attempt. And I think that I have analyzed the previous year question paper very much, so that though I had a limited time, but that helped me in focusing on particular sections which I need to focus. And also I feel that my background also helped in some of the aspects. So it's just not that I was able to crack in couple of months. My previous preparation for QRE in CAT and for FM in MBA and FRM helped me in cracking this exam.
So yes, even if you are not from the UPSC background, even if you are good at something or bad at something, you can do, like you can crack the exam if you prepare well. If you know like how the previous year questions are, you analyze it well. If you prepare well, you can clear it with whatever background you have. So thank you so much, sir. It was a really nice session. Like it was really nice talking with you and learning so many things with you. We learned, the aspirants must have also learned a lot of things from you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.